Welcome to the Country Carnivore. Today we're going to cook duck confit, which means duck with feet. No, it means duck preserve. I guess it's a French for preserve. But what it really means to me is that we're going to cook duck in duck fat for a really long time. So anytime you have a confit, you can do it with any animal, right? So you could do this with chicken as well. The only caveat is that chicken won't have enough fat on its own, so you'll have to add additional fat. So this is very simple. It's delicious. Honestly, I think the hardest part of this is finding the duck legs. And that's all you're going to need. So there's two of us tonight. I'm making 4 duck legs. Here we go, the whole leg. I actually already seasoned these with, I was told not to touch my hair and I just went and did it. Speaking of my hair, I just got a haircut and I look a little bit like Keith Cassidy. Yeah, Partridge Family. Anyway, we'll let that go. Back to this. Salt. So I have Redmond salt. I put about 2.5 tablespoons of Redmond salt all over the duck legs, and then I refrigerated it. So you can do that. You want to leave the salt on there for at least 20 minutes, up to an hour, and you can do that actually out on the counter. I had this in for several hours, so I just let it do that in the refrigerator. I pulled them out. I also have a little bit of duck fat that I'm going to go ahead and put at the bottom of the pan. So you want to put a little bit of fat at the bottom. It really doesn't matter what kind. After you make this, you're going to have a lot of great duck fat that you'll want to save to use for, future meals. For now, actually, I do have rendered duck fat that I bought from D'Artagnan. So they're great for, I don't know. I like the way that they work with their farmers and the way that the animals are raised. And they have great products. So I'm going to go ahead, just put a little bit in that pan. I'm going to do one more. This probably looks like, I don't know, 2 tablespoons. And I'm just going to go ahead and push that around at the bottom of the pan. All right, and this is very simple, this part of it. I'm going to reserve some of that. Now you want a very, very small roasting pan where the legs can sit right next to each other, but not overlap. So it's pretty tight in here because what's going to happen is we're going to puncture the skin to allow the fat to come out, and it will go into the roasting pan, and our duck legs will be cooking in the fat while the skin is crisping on top. So you don't want a big pan where, I'm going to put this away. You don't want a big pan where, all those juices are just splayed out and they're not actually submerging the duck legs. I really should have thought about this before I started talking. All right. So right now, again, I've coated the bottom with duck fat. You could use something else if you wanted to, bacon fat. I'm sure you've got that around. So see, they are tight in there. This is the Redmond salt that I put on top. Now, what you need is a tool to puncture the skin. So you could use a knife. I'm actually going to use my meat thermometer. And the goal here is you want to puncture the skin where you see the fattiest parts, because we want that fat, as it starts to become a liquid, to ooze out of the skin and then into the pan, right? It's almost like it's self-basting. So we want to give it a place to go. I don't want to puncture the meat. That's not the goal. It's just to make little holes in the skin so that the fat can get through. So I'm just going to cut it from the side, go here, and I can see in the skin where I have fattier pockets. So I want to make sure I get those, right? And like I said, I'm just trying to give it a path to get out. Now, one of the things that's a little different about this, and it feels unsettling, is you don't preheat the oven. I know it's weird, right? So I'm going to cook this. I'm going to put it in the oven, and then I will turn on the oven. And you could do it 300 Fahrenheit or 150 Celsius. And if you have a digital oven, it's even better if you could do 285 Fahrenheit, which is 140 Celsius. right? So we're going to put that in, and then we're going to walk away for a long time. We're going to let that cook for 90 minutes up to 2 hours. All right. And then we'll check on it at 90 minutes. Be prepared for 2 hours. And then what we'll do is the last step will be raising the temperature of the oven to get that skin nice and crispy. Okay. All right. This is ready to go in. Let me just show you what this looks like. It looks a little manhandled or mauled, or it's not as pretty as it was a minute ago, but ready to go, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to pop that in the oven. I do have a digital oven, so I will be putting it on at 285. All right, I'll see you back here in a couple hours, and we'll take a look at how this duck confit looks. At this point, it's been cooking for 2 hours, and I want to go ahead and baste this with its own fat. And then I'm going to increase the heat in the oven to 375, and I'm going to cook this for another 15 minutes until these legs start to brown. So you can make that determination. If they're brown enough, you can go a little longer if you wanted to. Just don't burn it. The duck is finished. I pulled it out of the oven. I ended up, it was nicely browned. I wanted a little more brown, so I broiled it for just a second. It looks great. I let it cool for about 15 minutes, and then I strained off the fat. It's very hot. So I actually put a strainer over just one of my pots, and I strained the fat, and then I poured it into this to keep. So it's beautiful. Don't waste it. I'm actually thinking about using it with venison. Anyway, so there's the fat that was rendered from baking it. Let me show you the duck. So here's the finished product. As you can see, it's nice and golden, and it smells delicious. So time to eat.